You are listening to Däs Bundesliga Show here, exclusively on the Lock Betting Podcast. You can follow the Lock Betting Podcast on Twitter at lockbetting.com. That's at lockbetting.com. That's also the Twitter account where you can find the P&L for lockbetting.com. The premium pay service has now delivered 113 months in a row of transparent track profit. And you can see that 113th month. You can see that spreadsheet as the pin tweet at lockbetting.com. And if you go to the lockbetting.com site, you can see all the other spreadsheets that equate to over 9 years without a single losing month in sports betting. Moving on with this edition of Däs Bundesliga Show, I've decided to break down 6 games from this weekend slate. We start here with the game between Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig, where Hoffenheim are the 2-1 underdogs. It's 13-5 on the draw, and it's 5-4 here on RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig are significantly better at home than they are away from home. So Hoffenheim are definitely a live dog here in this game. But when you're breaking down this game, you ultimately end up looking at the goals. And I think we'll see over 2.5 goals in this game. The selection is priced up at 4-6 minus 150, but that makes sense given that it has cashed in 5 of the last 6 games to involve Leipzig. And Hoffenheim come into this one without a clean sheet in their last 3. Leipzig are actually undefeated in their last 10 and come into this one with 3 wins in a row. But I still don't want to take them on the road against this Hoffenheim team. They're having a very, very good season. They currently sit 8th in the table, just 1 point behind Leipzig, who are in 6th spot. So we are going to avoid picking a winner here in this game, and we are going to look to the goals, and we're going to look to over 2.5 goals in this one between Hoffenheim and Leipzig. Up next, we move on to the game between Borussia Dortmund and bottom of the table Bochum, where Borussia Dortmund are the clear favourites to win this game at the price of 1-5. It's 6-1 on the draw, and it's 11-1 here on Bochum. You'd be looking at adding Dortmund to all of your parlays. You'd also be looking to do the same with Bayern Munich. We'll come to them next. It's just a case of how you play it. And the way I've decided to play it is to take Borussia Dortmund to win both halves of this game. I think they win this convincingly. I think they win this possibly 3, 4 or 5-0. Bochum have conceded exactly 4 times in each of the last 3 away league games, and I think they face a similar fate here against their local rivals. Bochum have also lost at both half-time and have gone on to lose the game in each of the last 4 away league games, and they've conceded exactly 4 times in each of the last 3 away games. So I feel that this is going to be a comfortable afternoon for Dortmund, and they can do what the last 4 sides have done in beating Bochum on their own turf, which is going with a half-time lead and then go on to win the game. But in Dortmund's case, I feel that they'll score and win both the 45-minute periods. So we take Borussia Dortmund here to win both halves, and that selection here is available for you at the price of 5-4. Up next, we look at the game here between Hertha Berlin and Bayern Munich, where it's 10-1 on Hertha Berlin, 6-1 on the draw, and 1-4 here on Bayern Munich. Going to take a similar type of angle, but I'm just going to go with the half-time, full-time here. This is Bayern Munich to be winning at half-time, and for Bayern Munich to go on and win the game. Now, this isn't Bayern Munich to win both halves. This is just Bayern Munich to go in with a half-time lead and to go on to win the game. And this selection is available at even money plus 100. That's a really good price, given that no side have won more games at both half-time and full-time than Bayern Munich, who have been up at the half 7 times and have gone on to win the game. That brings their price up here to even money plus 100, and I think that's a strong play. 4 of Hertha's 5 league defeats this season have also seen them trailing at the half And all of Bayern Munich's league wins this season have actually come by 2+ goal margins, and saw them also leading at half-time as well. So Bayern Munich, they tend to actually cash the bet where they do win both halves, but we're not going to take that here. We're going to go with a half-time, full-time selection, which I'm surprised to see at the price of +100. Bayern Munich, of course, coming off sweeping their Champions League group with 6 wins out of 6. They were even able to rest a couple of players in that game, and I think they'll be fresh and ready to move up the table. They'll want to get to the top of the league by the time the World Cup starts. It's not massively important, but psychologically they'll want to put that doubt into Union Berlin and Borussia Dortmund and the rest of the chasing pack. I think Bayern Munich end up winning the Bundesliga comfortably this season, and I think they have a comfortable afternoon on Saturday, going in at half-time with the lead and ultimately winning the game against relegation-threatened Hertha Berlin. Up next, we look at the late game on Saturday, which means this is the game that's going to be televised instead of seeing Hoffenheim and RB Leipzig or Hertha Berlin versus Bayern. We're going to have to sit through Werder Bremen versus Schalke. I know I won't be. Werder Bremen are the 4-7 favourites to make things worse for Schalke. It's 10-3 on the draw, and struggling Schalke are available here at 17-4. Really surprising game to put in on the 5:30 slot. I guess it's because Schalke are looking like they are relegation contenders, and they look like they could be a yo-yo club after being established for so long as one of the top teams in Germany. They've lost 7 consecutive domestic games, with 6 of those coming in the Bundesliga. I think the expected victory for Werder Bremen will occur here, which will set a new unwanted club record for Schalke of 8 straight defeats. If you're looking for maybe a little bit more value here, you could tack on the both teams to score, which gets you up to 23-10. This is based on the fact that Schalke have scored even when being humbled in their last 2 away games, whilst Bremen have kept just 1 clean sheet this season. So my main lean is just going to be to take Werder Bremen, but if you want to get 23-10, then take the both teams to score here for this one, giving you the much bigger price. Up next, we move across to Sunday, and we look at the game here between Bayer Leverkusen and Union Berlin, where Leverkusen are the even money favourites to win this game. It's 12-5 on the draw, and it's 12-5 on Union Berlin. I'm happy to oppose Bayer Leverkusen here and to take Union Berlin to get something from this game. They are the league leaders, but they're not being looked at as the league leaders in terms of pricing. This is probably because their metrics are quite low. They seem to be lucking out a lot. Their expected goals doesn't match the number of goals that they've scored, and expected goals is seen as quite an important stat to the bookies. It's not so important to me, because when I see a team who are overperforming the expected goals, I just see clinical finishing. I think Union Berlin can maintain their position at the top here by actually coming away with a win against Leverkusen as they continue to stumble despite Xabi Alonso taking over the club. It hasn't made a significant difference. Union Berlin are unbeaten in 5 of the last 6 games as pre-match outsiders this season. And Leverkusen come into this one enduring a 6-game run without a victory. So we are going to go for Union Berlin to get something here. Union Berlin to avoid a defeat is available at 8-11. And given the data, I actually think there's value here in taking that play on Union to not lose here at Leverkusen. The final game we look at is Freiburg at home to Cologne, where Freiburg are the 4-6 favourites. It's 3-1 on the draw, and Cologne are the 4-1 underdogs. This is a game which I think Freiburg will win. They entered this round just 2 points off the top of the table. And because Union Berlin are top, Freiburg have quietly had a very, very good season. The attention isn't on them as a surprise package or in the top 4. And there is a scenario where they could finish the weekend top of the table, although it's unlikely because I feel Bayern Munich will win comfortably at Hertha Berlin. Freiburg have also comfortably qualified top of their table in the Europa League, something that Lazio couldn't do, Roma couldn't do, Manchester United couldn't do. Freiburg have done it, and I like them here to beat a Cologne team who are very, very much dealing with injuries. I think Freiburg win this game comfortably. Each of Freiburg's last 5 home wins saw them score exactly 2 goals, whereas Cologne have conceded 12 times across their last 4 games. So I think a multi-goal performance from Freiburg will lead to a comfortable victory here. And I like Freiburg to get this win on Sunday. And I think we're getting them at a decent price, as ultimately I don't think the bookies feel they'll get into the top 4. And I actually agree with that. I do think that both will end up falling short despite their strong starts to the season. I think when you look at Dortmund and Bayern Munich, they should be shoo-ins. I think Leipzig have too much quality and they'll come good. And I also think Eintracht Frankfurt will get into the top 4. They've shown their European pedigree by winning the Europa League and by qualifying for the last 16 of the Champions League. So I think that will be the top 4. I think Freiburg will remain in there because they've also shown that they can be impressive in Europe. And Union Berlin, it remains to be seen. They are undoubtedly the surprise package of the Bundesliga this season, but I just don't think they'll finish in the top 4. But Freiburg, they're very, very strong at home. I definitely expect them to win games like this, especially against a Cologne team who have had a little bit of a dip, who are dealing with a lot of injuries. And a home win for me on the money line for Freiburg on Sunday. Closing out with your lock on this edition of Däs Bundesliga Show, I'm going to go for the half-time, full-time selection here for Bayern Munich. This is not Bayern Munich to win both halves. Bayern Munich to win both halves is available at 6-4 plus 150. This one is available at the best price of even money plus 100. In fact, it's more widely available at 10-11 minus 110. When I quoted even money plus 100, that was a price on the exchanges. So it's not a price that's widely available, but 10-11 minus 110 is. And that's what we're going to go with here. We need Bayern Munich to be winning at halftime and then to go on and win the game, something they've done in all of their wins so far this season. That's it for me. Good luck with all of your bets as always, and thanks for listening.